Welcome back to the channel, people. So yes, if you're watching this after the fact, make sure to smash the like button and subscribe and hit the notification bell. There is Michael Franzese is doing a tour of England and Ireland. If you want to go see that, I'm going to the Belfast show. Click the link in the description. If you can't click the link because YouTube have taken my ability to post links away, then just copy and paste the link in your search bar on Google. It's in the description, and you will be able to buy that ticket. It's £45.55. He's doing a tour of England and Ireland. I'm going to be at the Belfast one. There's many shows around England, so if you want to see that, there's going to be a few people. I think Shaun Attwood's going to be there I think he's the host of it, and we are going to. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there at the Belfast one. If you want to see Michael Franzese, ex-New York mob boss, click that link in the description or paste that link into the search bar, and you'll be able to buy your ticket. And I hopefully I get to see you there if you're into true crime. I'm going to see it, and I can't wait for it. So yeah, all around England and all around Ireland. So yes, make sure you go and see that. What we're talking about today, we are talking about Jeffrey Epstein. A fifth batch of documents have been released, and Jeffrey Epstein's brother has spoke out. Now, Jeffrey Epstein's brother has done an interview with Tucker Carlson, and I'm just looking at the live chat there. I just need to move this. I'm streaming on TikTok live here also. So anybody's on TikTok wants to run over to @HoldenOfficial1 all lowercase, you can join in the live chat. I can't really look at TikTok. But his brother done an interview with Tucker Carlson, and it was interesting. Now he's went on to Piers Morgan, and we're going to react to the full interview. I've got it downloaded. We're going to react to it. I've put an overlay where you can't really see them. You can just hear what they're saying. So there's two things we're going to speak about. There's many more things. Guess what? There's more information released onto X today that's very damning from a legitimate source. That there has been a video uploaded to a website on the dark web that is damning, guys. It's damning. This video consists of a snuff with a certain individual in it. Now, we don't know if it's real. There's all these AI videos going about. I really want to legitimize this before I can even speak about it in code, because I don't want to implement anybody into a situation that shouldn't be implemented in. But it's damning, guys. I seen a little snippet of it. Obviously, I don't know how to access the dark web, but I've seen a little snippet of it on X, and it's crazy, guys. Absolutely crazy. If this is true. So I think one of the first things that we'll do today is we will, let me just have a look at the live chat. I'm live today. I'm not pre-recorded. Thought I would do a live today. I had a bit of a couple of free hours. Have to fix a bike today. Have to do a few things today, but I've got a free hour, and these are the things we're speaking about. So yes, big up to the chat. Massive respect to everybody that's tuned in. We've got Wee Man Sham. We've got Arsenal Jamie, Melissa, Neil. Always good to see you, Melissa. Pablo Escobar. Who would have Pablo Escobar's in the live chat? Back from the dead, to give us probably really good information on what's actually going on here. We've got Art Hostage. He's always good with his information too. So mad respect to everybody. So we will jump over now, and we will react to the fifth batch of documents released, and then afterwards we will react to the Piers Morgan interview with Jeffrey Epstein's brother. As I say, make sure you smash the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell. If you want to follow me on free speech platforms, jump over to X @HoldenOfficial2 and my Rumble. All the links and all the handles can be found in the description of this video, of this YouTube video. And if you're watching on Rumble, head over to my YouTube channel. I know I get a few viewers in Rumble. There was one day there was like 100 people watching me in Rumble, and I couldn't see the comments. StreamYard needs to sort that out, where I can see the Rumble comments and the Rumble viewers come onto the screen. As it stands, I can't see who's watching me on Rumble unless I actually go onto the platform. And yeah, so yes, If you want, if you're anybody's watching in Rumble, head over to my YouTube channel at Holden Official One, all lowercase. The link is in the description. Uh, the handles in the description, and you can get involved in the live chat. So yes, we're going to react to this now. I'm going to just change a few banners here. So, what's everybody's opinion? I want to know your opinion. Is anybody watching now? Uh, even after the live's done, what's your opinion on the Jeffrey Epstein situation? This goes deep, guys. There's Alan Dershowitz coming out, damage limitation for himself. I agree with Alan Dershowitz at the fact that he was Epstein's solicitor, lawyer, and he would have been on the list, but you have Donald Trump on that list. And, if you look what your girl Ransom said, Sarah Ransom, she retracted the statement a couple of years ago about Donald Trump, but now she's not doubling down on that statement, but she's saying there is tapes of high profile people that she can't speak about for defamation reasons that do exist. So she retracted the statement on Donald Trump. She retracted the statement on a few other people, but she now has resurfaced and said, look, these tapes do exist. And the reason why I spoke about Donald Trump was because I wanted to keep my life. I didn't want Jeffrey Epstein to hurt me. But why would she bring up Donald Trump? Why would she bring up a lie to keep her life here, to still be alive? She would bring up legitimate things that she had, like that she has seen. So did she see Donald Trump? Is Donald Trump implemented into this? I come from the standpoint, I'm not a Trumpster. I'm not for Biden. I'm not for any of these people in Ireland, England. They're all cut from the same cloth. Once you get involved in that, you are completely 100% indoctrinated. I think when Donald Trump came out and says drain the swamp, it completely needs to be drained from the Democrats, the Republicans, the way it works, the way basically you can be bought off regardless if you're a Republican or a Democrat. You can basically be bought off by a pharmaceutical company, an oil tycoon, and that is the definition of corruption. So take away all the Epstein stuff, whether Donald Trump's involved with this or not. I understand the questions were asked. I've seen the documents. Did Donald Trump say anything? Did he do anything to the girls? No. Did he have a sexual relationship with the girls? No. That he didn't know. It was all no, no, no. But with everybody else, it was yes, 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 yes. Just look at the Prince Andrew situation. Like, it's crazy. The reason why Prince Andrew won't get arrested is because of national security. Honestly, that's a breach of national security for Britain. And even what he knows, he probably has information on people too. Right, so let's get into this now. Let's we've got Bobby from The Honest Truth in too. You're going to a funeral today, Art Hostage? Sorry to hear if somebody close to you has passed away. It's not good, Ronan. I hope all it comes. No, it is. It's slowly coming out. Trust me. All the information's coming out, and the redacted name will come out in the future. It's redacted for a reason, because this person probably has to die before it comes out. That's what the problem is here, because it's a clear breach of national security. Bobby from The Honest Truth. Morning, Ronan. Morning, people. Keep spreading the love and fighting the good fight. Of course, Bobby, as always. Look, guys, obviously these topics aren't favored on YouTube. So if you want to do me a favor, anybody that follows me or likes the channel, just if you can share, copy link the clipboard, make a little social media post, send to a friend on Facebook or WhatsApp Messenger, because that's the only way that, I can grow. Being taken out of the recommendations. I know I'm in if I make an MMA video, right, or I make a video about anything else, it gets put into the recommendations. But if I speak about this, it gets taken out of the recommendations. So make sure. Well, when I say taken out of the recommendations, it might be recommended to somebody that's that's deep into this, but it's not going to be recommended to everybody. So make sure you share, because that's the only way you can fight against this type of censorship. On Rumble, I'm getting recommended left, right, and center. I've got 143 followers in Rumble, and I'm getting good views on Rumble, so I'm getting recommended on Rumble. It's popping up on the algorithm on Rumble, so that is proof. Do you know what I mean? Could be just oversaturation on YouTube, right enough. I'm not going to get too conspiratorial here, but Let's call a spade here. We're talking about some high flyers, and God knows who's involved in this platform. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of people compromised in the Jeffrey Epstein. Right. So let's share the screen here. So we have an article here. I can't see the comments. We'll have an article here. This is the 5th batch of documents released. This is the 5th and final this year, I believe. The redacted name will probably come out in 2025. 5th batch of Jeffrey Epstein docs further detail allegations against prominent figures. So here we go. Washington and TND, a 5th batch of documents from a court case connected to the late ex-offender Jeffrey Epstein was unsealed on Tuesday and included more allegations against prominent figures. The documents stem from a 2016 civil lawsuit involving Epstein, accuser Virginia Giuffre. I got the name right, way, who alleged Epstein had flown her around the world for bad encounters with billionaires. I have to leave out some words: politicians, royals, and heads of state. In the latest round of documents, Giuffre accused Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, who was Epstein's long-term girlfriend and accomplice, of trafficking her to the following men: Bill Richardson, Marvin Minsky, Jean-Luc Brunel, Les Wexner. Les Wexner is the only person alive on that list. And Les Wexner is a key person in all of this here, because I think this was Epstein. I think Les Wexner was Epstein's first client. Wexner is the only man of the 4 who is still alive. Richardson died in 2023, Brunel died in 2022, and Minsky died in 2016. In transcripts of a videotaped deposition with Giuffre, she claimed she was trafficked to Richardson, the former governor of New Mexico, over 2 times, saying she was approximately 17, 18 at the time. And a lot of people will say, well, hold on, that comes under the definition of a legal age. There is the age of consent. It doesn't matter what age you are. If you are being trafficked for, it could be trafficked from one room to the next for the purposes of that you don't consent to, regardless of what your age is. That is the definition of trafficking. It doesn't make a difference. Giuffre alleged she was trafficked to computer scientist Minsky once, and when asked who that was, she described him as an older gentleman, saying, "I think he's a scientist, but I don't know. I don't want to 100% say." Giuffre went on to accuse Brunel, a French modeling scout who died in jail while he was awaiting trial for trafficking charges. Ironic, he was previously seen in photos that appeared to be taken at Epstein's private island. Former CEO of Victoria's Secret Wexner was mentioned by Giuffre as well. She alleged he had intercourse with him. She had intercourse with him multiple times. Now, the thing about Victoria's Secret, a lot of people said that it was Bill Clinton that went to Victoria's Secret to get that shut down, the story shut down, but it wasn't. It was Jeffrey Epstein, and the reason for that is, do you think a former president is going to go out of his way to shut something like that down? He's going to use his gopher, Jeffrey Epstein, to do that. He doesn't. The least documentation of him involved in this. He understands that there was documentation of him on the island. There was documentation of, there's probably video evidence that is yet to be released, but he's not going to do these things where he's going to go to news organizations, media sites to say, look, don't run with this story. He's not going to do that. He's going to send his gopher, Jeffrey Epstein. And that's what you're seeing here. In the latest round of documents, which is expected to be the final set of files, Giuffre's deposition includes multiple different claims of her sexual encounters with Epstein. She also claimed former President Bill Clinton witnessed the sexual abuse of... I'm going to keep that one out. Question: is Bill Clinton a witness to the sexual abuse of small people? Answer: yes, he would be a witness because he knew what the purpose there was for Jeffrey, and he visited Jeffrey's island. There's pictures of nude girls all around the house at all of his houses, and it's something that Jeffrey Epstein wasn't shy about admitting to people. So basically, Jeffrey Epstein had a lot of acquaintances. He had a lot of clients. a lot of them weren't that way inclined. We'll have to be really careful here that we don't uh, that we don't tar everybody with the same brush, because right now it's guilty by association, and rightly so. But you need to understand that how you break down the situation with Jeffrey Epstein is that um, he he met a lot of people that were that way inclined, and he met a lot of people that weren't that way inclined. But the people that he did meet that were that way inclined when it came to young girls and young people and that sort of stuff, he brought them together into one massive, in my opinion, ring of people that done this. You know, he was the connector. He was the middleman. Giuffre went on to claim Clinton's former vice president, Al Gore, along with Gore's wife, Tipper, and model Heidi Klum, attended Epstein's parties but didn't accuse them of any wrongdoing. She said she didn't remember the details about where she met Gore and Tipper, but noted it was at a dinner party. And it's a little hazy at where that took place. I mean, we are going back a long time ago, but I do remember one thing about him. I thought he was a wonderful guy who loved his wife, and they spent the entire time like there was nothing else around them. It was just those two. It was a dinner table, a long dinner table with people around, but they were just lovely. Somebody, just watching them somebody them as a couple, I remember thinking, he's somebody that I would definitely vote for. He's somebody that loves his wife that much. Gervais also claimed she was paid 15,000 for having intercourse with, I'm not going to say that word, Prince somebody in 2011. Yes, I did receive 15,000. I don't know what equivalent that is to pounds. I received it in American dollars. The deposition read on Monday. Documents included photos of girls and young women posing together on what appears to be Epstein's private island, Little St. James Island, in 2006. There's some of the girls there. Maxwell is seen in a few of the images, as is Epstein. In the previous documents, Sarah Ransom, who is an alleged victim, noted the girls were given Victoria's Secret outfits, which included clothing, bikinis, and nightwear when they arrived at the island. The deposition noted the following testimony. Question: they were supplied to you? Answer: yes, all the outfits. The documents also noted that Ransom said Maxwell helped me refine my massage skills to satisfy Jeffrey. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Ransom added that a massage was a key word for sex. As soon as you stop having sex with Jeffrey and his friends and his girls, you're out, because otherwise there's no reason for you to associate with Jeffrey, because you're just there to have sex with him, Ransom testified. So that indicates that they had a choice. So he didn't force you to do it, then you could have walked away at any stage. I'm just saying, the fact that she said that, like, oh well, if you stopped having sex with them, you were out. Okay, then stop having sex with them, and you're not in that situation. Maybe there's more to it. I'm just saying. I just had to say that. Ransom also said Epstein and Maxwell took girls from very underprivileged families. They give them accommodation, they give them food, they give them money for transportation, private planes, etc., etc. So if I didn't have sex with Jeffrey, I would be homeless and starving in New York. So, and my dream of getting a full-time education at one of the top fashion institutes in the world would be diminished. And that's what that's what he held over my head, exactly like he did with Redacted. That's because I have to redact the name of all the victims and the other girls. He was paying for all their education. So, yeah, I get that. But and you put into a compromised situation, you feel vulnerable. I get that. I get that you want to better yourself in life, and you have to go through this hell to better yourself. But what I'm led to believe is, that there was a possibility of walking away here. There, that possibility was on the table. According to the documents, Ransom said Maxwell was known as Mama Bear among the girls. So basically, this was like some weird whorehouse, treated like a whorehouse, which is terrible because he went to these young girls and he got these girls from underprivileged backgrounds, and he basically offered them, the sky's the limit. Basically, offered them the stars, and he took advantage of that. Ghislaine was like the mama bear, if you know what I mean. She called the shots. We had to listen to Ghislaine, and Ghislaine was Jeffrey's right hand woman. So whatever Jeffrey wanted went through Ghislaine and then filtered through. Ransom said in the documents. The new the news follows the release of hundreds of other pages of documents last week. Previously batched included mentions of well-known people who were allegedly affiliated with Epstein, such as former President Bill Clinton, Britain's Prince Andrew, Stephen Hawking, and Alan Dershowitz. In documents, Joanna Sosberg, who is another one of the accusers, said Epstein claimed Clinton preferred young girls. And we'll have to say that is just an allegation. We don't know if that's true. He said one time the Clinton likes them young, referring to girls, Sosberg said. The documents also allege that Prince Andrew, who has repeatedly denied having sex with Gervais and said he couldn't recall ever meeting her, participated in an orgy with several underage girls. Hawking, the late British uh, physicist who also accused of taking part in an orgy with underage girls. But when it comes to Stephen Hawking, did he actually know what the crack was, though? If he was there and there was girls instructed to do certain acts on him, did he know their age? Do you know what I mean? He maybe didn't even know. It could have been a situation where Epstein got him over, filmed him with a couple of girls. He didn't know their age. He probably thought, I may as well. When in Rome, like thinking that these girls were all consensual adults that were doing this, and then that's a possibility. We'll have to call a spade here. Like, I wouldn't like to think. I know I take the piss out of Stephen Hawkins now and again, but I wouldn't like to think that he's a known. He knew that these girls were trafficked. He knew that these girls were underage. He maybe hadn't a clue. A lot of these men probably didn't have a clue. And then afterwards, Epstein just said, "Look, I've got videotape of you with young girls. Do as I say, or this is going to come out." Dershowitz, who is a former Harvard law professor, was named in the documents as well. An underage Jane Doe was allegedly forced to have sex with him, according to the documents. I have to say, Dershowitz has strongly denied these claims. He's done many interviews since this has came out, and he says, "Look, there's only one woman I've had sex with, and that is my wife." And he says, "Of course, I'm on the list. I'm Jeffrey Epstein's solicitor." Soon after the documents were unsealed, Dershowitz told Fox News the claims against him were false. The woman who accused me has now stated categorically that she may have misidentified me, confused me with someone else, and these documents, and if all the documents are revealed, will prove categorically that she did misidentify me, he told the media outlet. Well, how can you can't really misidentify that guy. He's quite a unique looking cat, like. Do you know what I mean? He's quite a unique looking cat. So let me just jump back and let me give you my opinion on this here. So you've got Les Wexner, who's a strange cat, right? He's the only one living out of the people's names that were released in the fifth batch of documents. There was obviously documents with your girl Ransom, what she's been saying now. She hasn't, I'm going to regurgitate this, she hasn't doubled down on what she retracted. She hasn't retracted what she retracted. She hasn't doubled down on that. She has came out with saying, look, there is video footage of people. They do exist. And this is just my opinion, and actually I forgot to give my disclaimer. Everything I say here is not true. Make sure you get your news from the BBC or CNN. These people do not lie to you. And everything I say here is for entertainment purposes only. So you have to understand, she knows what she's doing here. She understands that Dershowitz is a very, very good lawyer. He can shred her. He doesn't need money to take her up for a defamation case. He can do that himself. Plus, he's a millionaire anyway. So she can't actually name people, but she can say, look, there is video footage. What she's saying there is, and I have to read, you have to read between the lines with this, is that, look, what I said before had to be retracted because she was up against heavy duty solicitors that if you do not have 100% evidence, they are going to shred you. It's as simple as that. Even if it's true, they will shred you. I'm not saying it is true, but that's my take on that. Now, when it comes to Lex Wesner is the guy that I think it was Epstein's first client. Now, personally, myself, we can't say what they done. We don't know what happened. I'm alluding to the fact that I think that there is high-profile people in sex tapes with underage girls that the authorities have and they won't release due to national security. And even if they release one of somebody that isn't important, that's maybe, I don't know, a scientist, then if they have any more, a judge might come in and say, well, if you have any more, you're under oath and you're under law to release the rest. So bury them now so the big ones don't get released. That's what I think's happening here. And I think, I can't say any of them are guilty, but I know for a fact. No, I don't know for a fact. I don't want to say I don't know for a fact, but there is video footage of people here. So what we're going to do now is we're going to react to a Piers Morgan interview with Epstein's brother, which is fascinating. Now, I have to state this. One of the reasons why I'm talking about Epstein's brother here is let me just turn this off. One of the reasons why I'm speaking about Epstein's brother here is because it seems like he's trying to implement Donald Trump into a situation. And I don't know if this is an attack from the Democrats. I don't know if this is actually Epstein's brother. He doesn't want to show his face. He doesn't want to do these things. And it's like, man, how can I take what you say as credible? Because he came out, we'll react to it now. Before I speak about it, we'll react to it now for you to understand what I mean. So let me just, I'll make this a bit, there we go.
Phone call, because he would prefer not to be seen on camera, is Jeffrey Epstein's brother, Mark Epstein. Mark Epstein, thank you very much indeed for joining me. Let me first of all ask you, what did you know about your brother? I mean, it's an obvious question, but you are his relative, his sibling. When this all came out about him, were you as shocked as everybody else, or did you have concerns about him?
Well, back in 2006, when he first got into trouble, he told me that he was getting into trouble, for what he was doing. And so I knew from early on what was happening. He told me early on.
So, the brother knew something in 2006. Now, if you look at the other interviews that his brother's done with Tucker Carlson, he's basically saying, look, I'm here to speak about how Jeffrey died. It wasn't a de-lifing. He didn't de-life himself. He was de-lifed by somebody else. But what I don't get is about his brother. His brother says, I don't know. I didn't know my brother got up to those things. But then in other conversations, he says, yeah, well, when we spoke face to face, like he alludes that he didn't even go to the island. That's strange to me. Who is this guy? Is this actually Jeffrey Epstein's brother?
Did you know the scale of it? I mean, obviously, he had that conviction. He served time in prison. But the sheer scale of what has emerged since.
I made it real clear. I'm not discussing anything about my brother and his charges against him. I have nothing to do with that. I wasn't involved. I have no more information. The only thing I'm interested in discussing is the circumstances surrounding his murder.
Okay, well, you say it's a murder.
Like, why do you not want to discuss that? because that is a relevant part in this whole story. The reason he's saying his brother was murdered, but the reason why he was murdered was because of the things that he got up to prior to going to prison. Compromising top officials, ex-presidents, getting video footage. There was an incentive to take him out. So why wouldn't you want to speak about that? But then he wants to speak about Donald Trump. Oh, he said, "Oh, well, you'll hear. I don't want to ruin it for you."
Murder. Obviously, it was ruled as suicide. Why do you believe that's not true?
Well, first, the actual pathologist who did the autopsy did not determine it was a suicide. They couldn't. They said it looked more like a homicide. But on the initial death certificate, on cause of death, it said pending, meaning pending further investigation, which is proper. And then a few days later, Bill Barr claims it was a suicide. And then the chief pathologist of New York, who did not see the body, claims it's a suicide. So the question becomes, what investigating was done in a matter of days?
Very true. If there's somebody that's seen the body that says this isn't a delifing, he didn't delife himself, and then somebody that didn't see the body says, oh yes, he did delife himself, that indicates some type of higher ups getting involved. 100%.
Make them come out with that determination. And it turns out that because it was called a suicide, there doesn't seem to have been an investigation. Because if you declare somebody died by suicide, there's really nothing to investigate. The only questions about a suicide is, how did they do it? Did they hang themselves? Did they shoot themselves? Did they jump out of a window? And that's a pretty obvious answer at the time of the death. So there's no investigation was done. The EMTs that went to the prison were never questioned. The hospital personnel were never questioned. We can't seem to find the medical records. We can't get the 911 call. If this was a suicide, why are all these things hidden?
100%. He's correct about that. I agree with him about that. That's where I think this is his brother. But, there's no interviews with the EMTs. That's the first responders to the scene. You can't get documents of who was in the prison cells surrounding him. They're missing. All the information is missing and surrounding that night. What position his body was in, missing also. These are things that are an indication that this was set up prior, and this was a premeditated delifing of Epstein.
And why did
obviously
make that ridiculous statement?
Right. Let's talk about the night that your brother died. He was found hanged. What is it about what happened that night? That's what was reported. So tell me why you think that what happened that night is so suspicious.
Okay, first of all, for 4 years we were trying to find out what position his body was in when he was found, because that's very telling. But we couldn't find out because they moved his body after he was found to the infirmary of the prison. When the EMTs were called and they got to the prison, he was already dead in the infirmary. Understand something. He had been dead for at least 2 hours before he was found. That's what the autopsy showed. And that's not a question. That's a fact. He could have been dead for 6 hours, but at least 2. Now, they said in the DOJ report that finally came out that he was found hanging. They said he was in a seated position with his legs extended in front of him, and when he was tied to the top bunk, and when they either cut him or tore him down, his buttocks was an inch and a half off the ground, which if you picture that, it means basically his entire body weight, or the bulk of his body weight, was hanging by the neck. Yes, there was probably some weight on his feet at the end of it.
Another thing which is really interesting too, and this doesn't happen in all cases, but when somebody goes to de-life themselves, if they have a chance to stop that de-lifing, apparently you regret it. I've never attempted it, but apparently you regret it. From people that have done it and have actually survived that, to say, look, instantly I regretted it. So the fact that he was there His ass was an inch off the ground. His feet were outstretched. He had the ability to put his feet on the ground and stop what was happening. So is it a case of he did do this to himself and he really wanted to not be here anymore because of what was coming? Or was it a case of that he was placed that way? Because I think it's 9 times out of 10 people actually regret it. That's what, very few people who survive this say that they regret being here anymore. Apparently it's a key thing. They're glad that they're here, and when they had the ability to stop what was happening, they stopped it. So Jeffrey Epstein had the ability to stop what was happening, but still done it. Statistics show that is actually incorrect. Maybe he comes into the minority of people who still proceed to do it even when they have the chance to stop. I don't know. It is strange. Like, welcome, Songbird. I hope you're well from the USA.
His legs, but the bulk of his body was hanging. So the mark on his neck left by the ligature is in the middle of his neck and goes straight back. If he was hanging, as they said, the ligature would have split up high up under his chin and then went up back sort of behind his ears up to whatever he was tied to. So the ligature mark on his neck is inconsistent with the way they describe him. And another important thing is that...
Yeah, so I have to state this too. The marks on his neck didn't go up. So obviously whenever the act was happening, it would have been up this way because he's being dragged down, right? It was it was going down the way, like somebody was pulling from the back. Do you know what I mean? So the marks were inconsistent. And in my opinion, it was rushed to be deemed that he de-lifed himself. So then there wasn't an investigation into this. And that's why all the things happened after, like the documents, the guards being asleep. The guards were actually convicted of lying under oath, and then they were pardoned by a judge, which is strange. The cameras were turned off. All this seemed like it was set up for this reason. Now, they didn't even care about the conspiracy. Think about it this way, right? They knew the conspiracy would have came out and the world would have speculated. They knew that would happen. But the ramifications of him being alive were so great that they had to do this, and they had to risk the conspiracy coming out, and they had to risk all this coming out, because whoever, in my opinion, if hypothetically speaking, if he was taken out by an entity, I sort of know who that entity would be. The information Jeffrey had overweighed a conspiracy. They're happy for this conspiracy for what's happening now, because if the information that he had was released, it probably would have crashed economic systems. It would have treaties with other governments around the world would have crashed. Border things. There's a lot at stake here, so they're probably happy. This is damage limitation to them right now. They're happy about this because of the information that he had would have caused far greater distress than what's going on right now. And people need to know that.
When you die, when a person dies, their blood isn't circulating anymore. And what happens, the blood starts to settle in the body to the lowest point. Gravity just takes the blood through the tissue. So you get a pooling of the blood under the skin, which is why they tell you to never move a dead body, because they can tell a lot of things. If you find a dead body laying on its face and the back has this lividity of pooled blood, that means the body died on its back and somebody eventually turned it over. So if you picture the way they describe Jeffrey as hanging, well, he should have lividity in the back of his legs and in his buttocks, which was the lowest part of his body.
Okay, let me ask you this. If he didn't take his own life, who do you think took it? Who killed him?
So let's speak about that. So 100%, the way his body was with his feet outstretched, his butt an inch off the ground, the thing around his neck and tied to the bed. The blood would have rushed to his legs and to his ass. His ass, imagine his ass is like like a balloon collecting water. That's what the body does after this type of an act, especially if they're in that position. That wasn't the case in this situation. There was no bruising or there was no blood rushing to those areas, which was an indication that he didn't die in the way that it was portrayed. Another indication that something else went on here.
In your estimation,
it's a good question. You know, Bill Barr said that no one went in or out of the tier, so he concluded it was a suicide. But there were something like 11 or 12 other prisoners on that tier that could have went in and killed him. Now, if another prisoner killed him, it's sort of why would they go to the extent to cover it up? You know, it's like if you...
I have to say, I said this in another video. He didn't, Jeffrey Epstein didn't try to de-life himself prior to this. It was documented that he did, but he was actually, somebody tried to do that to him in prison. It was just a prison thing. He didn't want to rat on them, so he said he tried to do it to himself. So it was put down as he tried to de-life himself. And that's very key in this whole thing, because if that wasn't documented, they wouldn't have, well, apparently they wouldn't have put this down as a de-lifing, somebody de-lifing themselves when he actually done it. One of the reasons why this was deemed a suicide was because apparently he tried to do that before, but we know now he didn't try to do that before. That was him not wanting the rat on the other inmates that tried to actually kill him. He wanted to gain credibility in the prison system, and he didn't want to be seen as a rat. So he said, I tried to do this to myself, to take the blame off the other inmates. And because of that documentation of that, it was put down that he done it to himself. He tried to commit suicide. He committed suicide whenever he died. So, you know, these are the very basic things that have went wrong in the prison system and who investigated this.
Remember the case of Whitey Bulger? He was in prison and he got killed by 3 other inmates. Well, they got the guys and they prosecuted him for killing Whitey Bulger in jail. If it was just another prisoner that killed Jeff, why wouldn't they not just find out who it was and prosecute him for murder? There doesn't seem to be a reason to cover that up. Also, we can't get a list of who were those prisoners that were already on the tier. I know one was Cataglione, who was Jeff's cellmate for a while. Now, the question becomes, who was on the tier that night? When were they put there? And when were they transferred out? Because I was told that after the death, a number of prisoners were transferred off of that tier to other places.
So after it happened, all the prisoners on that wing, not the wing, it was that section of the prison, were transferred away, and there was no documentation of who they were. So that's very interesting. And even if it's a de-lifing, say somebody de-lifing themselves, well, all the other inmates would have to be sort of interviewed to see just to have a conversation with them. Anybody that was affiliated with them at any stage. Do you know what I mean? That wasn't done. They were instantly shipped away, and anybody could have been brought in there randomly for a couple of days. It was set up that this is what he needed to do, and apparently, I'm not saying this is true, apparently the doors were unlocked. Apparently that night the doors were unlocked also. So if that's true and the inmates were shipped away straight after, then that's an indication that somebody was brought in to do the job and then leave again. And there's no documentation of this. They can't find it anywhere. I think in the history of prison systems, this is the first time this has happened. So more of an indication that there is foul play here.
So
let me ask you, Mark Epstein, let me ask you, do you believe, obviously Jeffrey, your brother, had relationships, friendships with many, many of the most rich, famous, powerful people in the world. Do you believe that, if let's take this theory to a conclusion here, do you think that one of those people who may have had a vested interest in shutting him up and not talking about what he knew about them potentially may have played a part in his death?
Yes, That's what I think happened. And then you have to question, out of the rich and powerful people he knew, who would have the ability to pull something like this off? That's another question. Who would have the ability to plant somebody in there if that?
Who has the ability? Well, just look at the people with the body counts. When I say body counts, undocumented body counts, that you look at them and you think to yourself, who was he involved with that already has separate conspiracies, not verified conspiracies, but, public opinion conspiracies that has a body count. You make that decision. You make your mind up yourself who that is. I know who that is. But who is known to have lots of people around them die? And then you have the answer. And who has the most to lose? Who comes under national security? Then you have your answer. Just saying.
That's the way it was done. Who would have the ability to have the Justice Department come up with this, pardon the language, this bullshit report? In the Justice Department report, it just says that it was declared dead by the pathologist. But that's not true. It was declared undetermined by the pathologist that did the actual report. And then,
okay,
for some reason,
you've claimed. You've claimed, Mark Epstein, that your brother had information on Donald Trump and Bill Clinton that was so incendiary that the 2016 election would have been cancelled if that information had come out.
No,
what was that information?
Wait, Pierce, that's incorrect. What Jeffrey told me during the 2016 election, we were just discussing the election, just two brothers talking about current things. What he said was that if he said what he knew about both candidates.
I have to say this, right? He's talking about after Jeffrey was convicted of a sex offender here, of a sexual offense. If my brother was convicted of soliciting minors for their own sexual gratification, I wouldn't speak to him again. Even if he had an excuse. Because of what he knew, he's trying to say he didn't know what Jeffrey Epstein was up to, his brother. But he still, just on a side note here, I have to speak about him here. He still had a relationship with his brother after he was convicted of soliciting, prostitution with underage girls, minors. Think about that. Maybe this is why he doesn't want his face out there. I don't even know why this guy's speaking. Because he wants to add further speculation to the conspiracy. We know what the crack is, mate. Everything you're saying we know already. What the fuck is this guy's purpose of even speaking here? And why did he keep a relationship with his brother after he was convicted of a sexual offense on minors? If that was my brother, I've got all the empathy and sympathy in the world for my brothers. If they were find themselves in that situation, I would still have a conversation with them saying, why did you do this? Why did you do that? I would probably, there'll be maybe bones broken in that situation for doing what they done. But I don't know if I could forgive them after. I think to myself, I think look, unless you don't ask for total forgiveness and stay away from all social media and devote your life to doing good, I don't want anything to do with you. Because what you done was evil. And you can't, it's not a crime. It is a crime. What Jeffrey Epstein done was a crime. But it was also, it's in you to do that. Once you do that, if somebody commits that type of a crime, that sexual act against young people, right? Even a rapist of women and men, of adults, that's in you. When you get the opportunity, you will do that again. That's by the way, I'm not saying it's a sexuality, but that's like saying to a normal bloke, don't look at that beautiful woman. They're going to fucking look at a beautiful woman, whether you tell them to do it or not. That's the same thing. It's a sickness inside them. And plus, he was a billionaire and he had access to all different types of vulnerable people, and he could bring these vulnerable people in. So why the fuck did his brother still have a relationship with him? I don't get that. I don't get that. That, to me, that's more telling than anything, because this geezer's telling me shit that I already know, right? Yous maybe don't know, and there's maybe a few of you that don't know, but he is telling me information that I already fucking know. But he told me something that I didn't know, that he still had a relationship with a convicted sex offender after he was convicted. And that to me is a testament against who he is. And if he doesn't want the hate on him, then why is he coming out now and speaking? Why didn't he come out before? And why hasn't he apologized for still having a relationship with a convicted sex offender? Who is this geezer? That's the question I'm asking. Who the fuck is this guy? Because I don't trust him.
They'd have to cancel the election. So he was talking about Donald Trump, and he was talking about Hillary, but Bill wasn't running at that point in time. And Jeffrey used to sometimes tell me things about people he was with, whatever. I never heard Jeffrey say anything bad about Bill Clinton. Jeffrey always liked Bill Clinton. He admired Bill Clinton.
Because that's the deep state, mate. Jeffrey always liked Bill Clinton, old Billy boy, Monica Lewinsky. Oh, was maybe Monica Lewinsky, was she an agent also trying to extract information and bribery? Possibly, allegedly. Listen, this all exists in GTA 6 and Minecraft. What I'm telling you right now isn't true. Who's Monica Lewinsky? And why is there a connection there to certain people when it comes to Monica Lewinsky? When you look into, you know what you're dealing with here. Of course, he's not going to speak bad about Bill. What you're dealing with there is deep slate. I'm going to call it deep slate, right? Deep slate. That's the deep slate.
So I don't think that, again, he didn't say he had information on Bill Clinton. He mentioned the candidates. So I want to keep the record straight. I like to keep facts out there, not speculation.
What information do you think he had on Donald Trump, for example, that could have disqualified him from that election?
I don't know any specific information, but I've also heard Jeffrey say that he stopped hanging out with Donald Trump when he realized Trump was a crook.
Of course, Donald Trump's a fucking crook. We all know he's a crook. But guess what? I've met crooks in my time that were good fucking people, that done better jobs and done better work for the community than fucking the police system and the authorities. We all know Donald Trump worked with the mob, allegedly. I have to say, all this is allegedly and not real. We all know that these things happened. I've got family members that live in New York that know the shit to do with the unions and getting places and doing this and backhanders. How do you think the world's ran? I know people are into Piers Morgan and BBC and all this. The world is ran on people being crooks. If I want a building built, I pay off building control. If I want something done, I take him out for a dinner, take him, let his wife go on holiday, give them a few pounds. This is how things are ran. That makes you a crook. But guess what? Sometimes a crook is better than the authorities because the crooks know what the crack is. And that's a fact. We all know what Donald Trump was into. He stopped hanging about with Donald Trump because he was a crook. Was Donald Trump a sex offender? Oh, hold on. So let's get our moral standpoint right here. You stopped hanging about with Donald Trump because he was a crook, but you still affiliate Jeffrey Epstein I'm speaking about here, but Jeffrey Epstein still affiliated himself with prominent sex offenders who trafficked people. So this is our moral compass here when it comes to the Epsteins. We'll stop hanging about with somebody that's a crook, that's maybe doing a bit of this and doing a bit of that, but we're not going to hang about with this geezer. We're going to hang about with this geezer, even though he's a speedo and a rapist. This is the moral compass here of the Epsteins, and the same as this fucking geezer here. What's he talking about? Why is this coming out now about Trump? This seems to me like a little bit of an attack because the 24 elections. If you know, you know. The Democrats are ruthless. You have to respect their game. They'll go to any length to take you out of the game. They want somebody in there that's pliable. They do not want Trump coming back in. They want open borders, and they want to just ruin that place. Do you know what I mean? So what I'm saying is, what is going on here?
That's on tape. I heard a videotape interview with Jeff, and he said that he stopped hanging out with Donald Trump when he realized Trump was a crook.
Do you believe that there are? Do you believe that there are these videos?
I respect Trump more the fact that he is a crook, because at least you have to understand how the world works. There is the law for me and you, and as soon as you become a billionaire, there is a different law, and especially when you're a high-flying politician or somebody of power. The world is ran on backhanders. Everything from the drugs coming into your company. How do you think the Sackler family put Oxycontin on the streets of the United States of America? They compromised the FDA. That's how they done it. That's called being a crook. If you want to do something, compromise somebody, especially if it's going to make you trillions, billions. The same as Trump. How do you think Trump done all the things that he done? Trump's had dealings with the mob way back in the day. Trump was going to get done over. I know the stories where he was just going to disappear. He didn't, because he done a few things. But this is how the world is ran. All of them are like that. Hold on, you've got top politicians in America manipulating the stock markets for them to make a lot of money, and they're Democrats. Is that not crooked behavior? Oh, but they're not crooks, because they're fine. They're Democrats. This is what I'm trying to say about the world. What the fuck relevance does this have? Donald Trump's Jeffrey Epstein stopped hanging about with Trump because he's a crook. Everybody's a crook. You're a crook. I'm a crook. If it comes down to it, if I said to you, I can make you 100 G's right now if you do this. It's maybe a little bit illegal, but if you do it, nobody's going to get harmed. Just pass that little thing for me in building control. Yeah, it's fine. There's 100 grand. Boom. Now we're both crooks. But are we really bad people? Are we grapists and speedos? No, we're not.
Tapes, which came out in the unsealed documents yesterday, that there are videotapes which apparently were from cameras that your brother put in place, recording famous people from Prince Andrew to Bill Clinton to Richard Branson and others having sex on tape. Do you believe that?
You know, I've heard those stories, and it's sort of like, doesn't matter if I believe it or not. I don't know. So, again, I shy away from speculating on things I have no facts on. Okay. I was told by somebody who supposedly knew that there were not cameras in the New York house. You know, I know there were cameras around the entryways and for security. I was told there was no cameras inside. But again, I don't know if that's how reliable that. I thought it was reliable, you know, and I don't have any reason to doubt it. But again, I don't want to speculate. So I have no knowledge of any tapes or anything. Yeah.
Okay. Mark Epstein, I appreciate you joining me. Thank you very much.
So we just heard a lot of something, but a lot of nothing, didn't we there? Like, we heard a lot of nothing. All I'm going to say is, do not trust the Republicans, do not trust the Democrats, do not trust the Labour Party, do not trust the Conservatives, the Tories. All of these people, everybody that represents you is a crook. Everybody, every single one of them, even Reform UK, all of them, that they promise you this, they promise you that, they'll do absolutely nothing for you. They're all compromised. Every single one of them. There's very few people in that game, the political game, that will do right by their own populace. But what I'm going to say is, right, this guy comes out and says a lot of stuff. You know, I agree with him about the circumstances of his, I'm going to say alleged brother, because I don't know who the fuck this guy is. I don't know who this is. This could be Hillary Clinton with a voice changer for all I know. So his alleged brother, right? Because that's what it is. We say alleged with everything else. Alleged trafficking, alleged sexual assault. I don't know who this guy is. This is his alleged brother, right? I agree with him what he said about his brother's death. You know, let's recap on that. He says, look, there's a lot of circumstances from the documents going missing of the other inmates, the position of the body where the blood was sitting on his body, and all the other rest. I can't remember the rest, but yeah, there's a lot of things that indicate that he did, and I don't think he done it himself. He was took out, and the recap on that once again, because he was took out because what's happening now is a big mad worldwide conspiracy. Everybody's talking about this conspiracy, but they're happy for that conspiracy because if the information was actually released of what Jeffrey Epstein knew, it would have been far worse. So they're happy for this. This was damage limitation, and they're happy with this because they understand in 10 years' time, nobody's going to be speaking about this, right? We're all going to forget about it and go back to voting for our local fucking dickhead that's compromised by whatever. So then he gets into Donald Trump and he gets into Bill Clinton. You know, he never spoke bad about Bill Clinton. Deep slate. You know, that's an indication to me. If you look, you know, if you want proof on Bill Clinton, just look at what happened with the whole Monica Lewinsky thing. Like, you know, and if you know who Monica Lewinsky is, you know, with this situation, what it's taught us, Monica Lewinsky isn't who she says she is either. and there's definite links into intelligence. I'm not saying that's true, but possible links into intelligence agencies and blackmailing people. And then you have the whole Trump thing. Of course of course Donald Trump's a crook. Everybody's a crook. That doesn't mean anything to me. If somebody says to me, "Oh, this guy's a crook," right? Is he a bad guy though? No, he's a crook. I didn't ask you that fucking question. It says, "Is the guy a bad guy?" What do you mean he's a crook? Tell me, what does he do? Oh well, he's protection. He sells arms. He sells a bit of the devil's dandruff. Right? Is he a bad guy? Is he a rapist in a speedo? No. Right then, we're sweet. We're sweet. Sweet. Does he sell that to kids? No. He sells it in bulk. Okay. You're talking about a billionaire here. How do you think people make a billion? Do you think, well, I'll just have 4 streams of income and I become a billionaire? No, that doesn't work that way. To become a billionaire, you need to be a crook. Simple as Steve Jobs, all the rest. Do you think Steve Jobs sat in an office eating a fucking apple while everybody else done the work for him? That's a crook. He took the credit for everybody else's work. That's a fucking crook. Elon Musk. Do you know what I mean? How do you think Elon Musk has got to where he is at? Crazy times, crazy times. What can I say? What can I say? Do you know what I mean? It's Donald Trump a crook. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. What about Joe Biden, Hunter Biden? What about the laptop? What about China here? Do you know what I mean? Like, crook. They're all crooks, man. That means absolutely nothing. That's laughable. That's my comedy for the day. I'll be laughing at that for the rest of the day. When I'm fixing this bike, I have to fix a bike here. I'm going to be laughing at Donald Trump, the crook, as if that's some type of diminishing factor to his character here. Like, yeah, but listen, that's the end of it, guys. Remember, thanks very much for tuning in. Mad respect to every single one of you. Obviously, these aren't promoted on YouTube. I don't really care about whoever. You are 21 fucking hardcore motherfuckers. If you are seeing this, there's probably a good few people watching in Rumble right now, and this is live on Twitter. If you want to follow me on my free speech platforms, just use the little handles in the description that takes you over to my X Twitter, where you get my total 100% uncensored opinions, and the same on Rumble. Those handles and links are in the description. Actually, not the links, because the links are YouTube have taken my ability away to post links. And yeah, for whatever reason that is, they probably don't want me to let you go over to the free speech platforms. But the handles are there, which you can type into those relevant platforms, and you can find me and follow me there. And this is in Rumble. So if you're watching this in Rumble, thanks very much, people. Just leave a comment in the comment section, and I'll try to get back to you and give this a Rumble and share. If you're watching this on YouTube, Twitter, Rumble, make sure you share, guys, and just share a copy, link the clipboard, and send to somebody that you know that's into this type of content. But that's it, guys. Oh yes, and one last thing. I will be in a couple of months, I forget the actual date, I will be going to the Michael Franzese talks in Belfast. That's the ex-New York mob boss. You probably know his channel if you're into true crime. Shaun Attwood is hosting a range of events all around England and Ireland with Michael Franzese. And yeah, it's going to be good to meet Michael. Do you know what I mean? I'm a big fan of his, watching his stuff. So if you're into true crime and you want to buy a ticket, the link or the website, if you can't get the link because obviously YouTube don't allow me to post links in the description, just go in, copy and paste the link in the description and post it into Google, and you will be able to go over to the website and buy a ticket. There's going to be ones in Scotland, England, and Ireland. So if you're into that, if you want to see Michael talk, it's going to be quite intimate too, I think. So you'll be able to hear him speak. I'm going to be at the Belfast one. If you want to go to the Belfast one, it'd be good to see a couple of people there. But yeah. Think about what you would spend 45, 55 pound on. At least with this here, you get like 6 hours of talks of the mob, how the mob was ran, and about the system of New York. And listen, crook, once again, a fucking crook. Michael Franzese, a fucking crook. But listen, at the end of the day, do you know what I mean? He done what he done, and like all of them, like all of them. Maybe I'll that's a relevant question. I'll ask Michael Franzese, is Donald Trump a crook? And he'll laugh at me and hit me a slap and say, yeah, of course he's a fucking crook. All of them are crooks. you know. But that's it, guys. Thank you very much. Big up to everybody. Um, there's things I can't say here. Actually, I want to leave you with this here, right? You need to get on the X Twitter, right? Because the information on there, if you don't have X or Twitter, download it now. Start an account. Go follow me. You can find the handle in the description at HoldenOfficial2, all lowercase. And I share stuff from people on Twitter, right? It's just crazy. There's a guy, Dom LeClure, that is coming out with information on the Clintons, on all the Epstein stuff and all the shit that's going on around the world that you will be mind blown. And there was a clip that was going around of the dark web, that was taken off the dark web, of a certain figure, Stillery Pimpton, I'll call her Stillery Pimpton, that was implemented into a snuff. You get what I'm saying? Snuff picture, right? Not Charlie, not the drug, but you get what I'm saying. I don't know where this came from. It could be AI created. I don't know. And it could be 100% false. Well, I have to state that also. But that's it, guys. Songbird, thank you very much. I don't think I've seen you here before. So yeah, fantastic. I'm getting recommended a little bit. Gavin, Lou, Melissa, let me go through. HBR. If I miss anybody at the top, I can't scroll away at the Peggy, all of you, thank you very much for tuning in. Peace.